This is a follow-up to my previous video on Brigador. I'd recommend you watch it first, but if not, these are the basics. Jack Monahan is the co-creator of the indie game Brigador and the studio that made it, Stellar Jockeys. Last year, he was outed as a bigot when some screen caps of him using slurs on a private hate site were leaked, and he issued a public statement apologizing and announcing that he was going to be suspending his involvement in the upcoming sequel. In my video, I concluded that his apology seemed insincere, and I speculated that he was cynically biding his time and planning on returning once things had died down, especially since the news had been very conveniently buried in a love bomb of positive attention brought on by popular YouTuber Mandalore Gaming. And like most things in life, I was 100% correct. On May 30th, 2021, Reddit user Ebola Diver asked the Brigador subreddit if there was any news about the upcoming sequel to Brigador, Brigador Killers, and Jack's brother Hugh quietly posted, "My brother took an extended leave of absence but has now returned, and while this significantly delayed progress on Brigador Killers is still in the works, we'll have more news for you over the next month following the 5-year anniversary update this Monday. We appreciate everyone's patience on this. 2020 was a very difficult year." So, yeah, after less than a year, the bigot is back. No announcement, no explanation, no follow-up, not even acknowledging the reason he stepped away in the first place in the post itself. Just hoping that if they act cool, nobody will notice. Obviously, people weren't happy about this, and when they complained, the subreddit was locked down to keep anybody from posting about it further. And then they started actively removing content that made any reference to Jack's part on Steam and banning people who mentioned it from being able to post again. Just in case you had any lingering doubt that maybe the apology was genuine or that Hugh Monahan and the other members of Stellar Jockeys weren't covering for Jack this whole time. Now, I'm sure there are some people who are going to go, "What? You just expect this guy to drop off the face of the earth forever and never work again? Come on, he apologized. It's been a whole year. What more do you want?" Well, let's use Jack's own words from his boilerplate, "Oops, I fucked up" public apology. He said he jeopardized everyone's trust and needed to grow as a person. Like a lot of fans, a part of why the outing was so upsetting is because Jack and Hugh Monahan were people that had been publicly supportive of trans streamers and content creators and work hard to cultivate an image of themselves as being the salt of the earth. Military-themed gaming and science fiction communities have a lot of really shitty dudes in them, and it was nice to have someone who for once wasn't a goddamn Nazi. Finding out that while this was happening behind closed doors, Jack was mocking and insulting these same people with some of the most black-pilled nihilistic edgelords on the internet and engaging in outright hate speech was such a fundamental betrayal of that. So if he wants people to accept him again, he has to rebuild that trust and show that personal growth to everyone. He has not done that. If anything, he's done the opposite, cowardly hiding in the shadows behind his brother. At the risk of opening up a philosophical can of worms, you could never really know what another person is thinking or what's going on in their heads. It's why trust is so important and why, when that trust is broken, it can be so hard to repair. Especially in situations like this one, when a person's financial and artistic success are on the line. Are they actually sorry and working on improving themselves, or are they just saying and doing whatever they need to cover their asses? It's why the concept of penance is part of so many philosophical and religious outlooks. Talk is cheap and actions speak louder than words, so don't just say something, do something. There's this really good 1999 movie called The Straight Story. I know, pretty ironic choice for a video about a transphobe, right? It's about an ailing old man who learns that his estranged brother has had a heart attack and drives a riding lawnmower from Lawrence, Iowa to Mount Zion, Wisconsin to visit him and to try and make amends while they're both still alive. Throughout the film, people offer to give him rides or buy him a bus ticket, and he always refuses. It's initially portrayed as him being a stubborn old man, but at the end it reveals that it was all an act of penance, that he went through so much effort and hardship because when he finally got to his brother, he wanted him to realize just how much he meant to him and see how much he was willing to endure just to see him and try and fix things.
Did you ride that thing all the way out here to see me?
I did, Lyle.
It's such a heartfelt and sincere story, and it's a great little parable about trying to make amends with people you've wronged. For someone like Jack Monahan, if they were genuinely repentant about the years of being hateful behind closed doors, there are no shortage of ways they could express that. They have a platform as an indie game developer of relative renown, and they're a really talented artist and writer. They've shown that they have a great capacity for self-expression. I mean, he literally worked as a concept artist. Taking ideas and expressing them in a format other people can understand is kind of his entire thing. If he wanted to show everyone that he had changed, he has no shortage of ways to do so. It would be so easy to just put a trans flag in Brigador or write a blog about his journey of becoming a better person. But he hasn't. Instead, he just quietly slinked in through the back door, and Stellar Jockeys is acting like nothing happened. In the leaked post, Jack Monahan mocks developers for being whipped and SJW sycophants, and cites David Mamet's 3 uses of the knife as an argument against using a game as a platform for political views. That it's a betrayal of both the audience and the inherent truth in art to conspicuously include an endorsement of a political or social idea outside of its immediate relevance to the drama that is unfolding. I kind of get that, but at the same time, Brigador is already a game that is crammed full of references to internet bullshit. Putting in a trans flag or whatever isn't going to break immersion any more than putting in a YCS building does. My Brigador video is one of my most viewed, most liked, and most subscribed, which is rad, but also makes it kind of rough to revisit 6 months later now that I have more experience making videos, because there are a couple of parts I would have handled differently. Thanks to some people with access to the Stellar Jockeys Discord, I've been able to get screen caps of the conversations I wasn't able to find for the original video, and they add a lot more context. Mandalore argues that he is putting out the Brigador video without an addendum about Jack's bigotry, because video games are collaborative works, and since Jack has stepped away from the company, it would be unfair for everyone else who worked on the game to be punished because of him. I don't really agree with that, but it's a moot point now, because the bigot is back, baby. So I'm just washing my hands of Stellar Jockeys. Fuck them and fuck their game. One last thing before I finish up here. Similar to how Mandalore's positive review of Brigador came out a few days after Jack stepped down and overshadowed the news, Brigador put out a 5-year anniversary update for the game a week after announcing that Jack had rejoined the team and buried the negative reactions to it. A part of this update was a cross-promotion with other indie devs. Fractal Softworks Star Sector and Consumer Soft Products Cruelty Squad would both be making cameos in Brigador as unlockable pilots. The Cruelty Squad inclusion was particularly horrid because I had heard so much good stuff about its bleak satirical universe and I was really looking forward to playing it. But seeing the person behind it just be totally cool with cozying up to the shitty Brigador people gives me pause. Multiple people online, including myself, have reached out to the creator of Cruelty Squad to make sure they're aware of Jack Monahan's past and see if this isn't just some huge misunderstanding, but he has been completely radio silent, which says something considering most of their Twitter activity is them self-searching and then sicking their fans on people who say unkind things about the game. Oh well, at least Makeup and Vanity Set isn't going to return for the sequel, right? Right?